If you suffer from vicarious social anxiety like myself, you're in for a wild time. 8th grade is the story of a girl named Kayla who is going through 8th grade, and all of the wild and totally unpredictable and extremely awkward things that happen to all of us at that age. It's also directed by Bo Burnham, who was one of the first YouTubers that I ever watched. I specifically remember in high school we watched a video of his called The Clan Cookout. Yeah, let's just say that sensitivities were different back then. But like most comedians, he has a very sensitive and deep thinker side that shows itself extremely well in this film. As far as I know, it's his writing and directorial debut, which makes it even all the more impressive. Oh man, I did not like the version of myself when I was in 8th grade, and I'm sure that plenty of you guys can relate to that. I specifically remember starting 8th grade and walking into Spanish class, which was first period, and just the rate at which my heart rose was just ridiculous. I immediately felt like all eyes were on me, and I just wanted to be the coolest kid in the room and make all kinds of friends. It's just making me cringe right now even thinking about it. And like I said in the intro, if you have vicarious social anxiety, you are not going to enjoy this movie because there are so many scenes in it that are just painfully relatable. I don't care what age you are, everybody has gone through something like this. Right at the beginning when the movie opened up, it said A24 Studios, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. Like the same studio that distributes movies like Midsummer and Hereditary, which I did not watch because I'm too much of a wimp, is distributing this very human and very emotional movie about a girl going through an awkward stage of life. I just kind of thought it was funny. This movie is so raw and so uncompromisingly honest that it can hit pretty close to home, again, no matter what age you are. Not only if you're just in 8th grade, but if you continue to carry those insecurities with you, which to a certain extent we all do. I think the advantage of being an adult is that you have developed strategies in which to deal with those insecurities. But at the same time, sometimes it feels like they never really go away. And this movie touches upon that brilliantly. One of the first scenes is a, superlatives ceremony, which I suppose is kind of like the equivalent of most fill in the blank that you would have at the end of high school. It just seems like an odd title, superlatives, to give to certain awards that are bestowed upon students. But I don't know, maybe that's how it is in other schools. It just wasn't like that in mine. And one of these superlatives/awards is most quiet. They literally gave that award, most quiet, to a few of the kids in the school. That is so cruel. Who would do that? And of all things, why would a student who's voted most quiet want to have all the attention focused on them at an award ceremony in front of all their peers? Maybe that was the point, Maybe it was supposed to be isn't this ridiculous? These awards that are distributed that create this popularity contest and have people striving for these shallow and ultimately insignificant awards are so ridiculous as to include one like most quiet. I consider myself to be a pretty empathetic guy. I can easily read and understand the emotions of others. But I hope that I keep that trend up once I become a dad, because the dad in this movie is so painfully awkward with his 8th grade daughter that you just had to kind of sit there and squirm and also laugh a little bit, but mostly squirm. He also is the perfect dad. A little too perfect, actually, because no dad in the history of dads is this nice, this understanding, and this empathetic/sympathetic with their daughter, or any of their kids, really. It's just amazing. No matter what his daughter says to him or does to him, no matter how many times she ignores him or disrespects him, not out of hostility, but out of the insecurities in her heart, he just kind of rolls with it, and he's 100% supportive, and sometimes he even gets a little over the top. It's just a little unbelievable. There's just really no dad out there that's that perfect. Sorry. Also, there's more than one scene where he opens the door to his daughter's room, to Kayla's room, and says goodnight to her in his boxers, just his boxers. He's not even wearing a shirt. Is that a thing? Did your dad do that? I mean, I'm not saying he's weird for having done so. Maybe I am. But at the same time, I just kind of cock my head at those things and okay. The lead actress, her name is Elsie Fisher, delivers a tour de force of a performance. She completely nails all the nuances of being this really insecure, shy 8th grader. She has amazing line delivery. Every little detail of being that age is wrapped all up in her face and her mannerisms. It's really impressive to watch. I was on the IMDb trivia page for this movie, and apparently she shot this film very shortly after she graduated from 8th grade. I think maybe it was like a week after she graduated. So, on one hand, that is really good for her because, she just finished this experience and now she gets to sort of talk about it directly and indirectly through the medium of film. On the other hand, it's really impressive considering that she actually is in 8th grade and she's this good of an actress. I really hope that she has a nice long career ahead of her. I think she will. I mean, she already has plenty of upcoming projects. I'm excited to see what she does. There's a line in this movie that has a few meanings, and it kind of struck me on a positive note when I first heard it. It's confidence is a choice. It's an excellent line, and I think it is true to a certain extent. Like, you hear about people who get up some days, or they are doing something that involves maybe a threatening situation like public speaking, and they definitely don't feel confident, but they just act confident, and suddenly they are confident. So in that sense, it is a really good line. But I think it's an additionally good line, if that makes any sense, because you start to question, does it actually work? And the way that the character plays out her life based off of the philosophy, confidence is a choice, kind of makes you question whether or not it's legit. Bo Burnham was trying to make a lot of points in this movie, and the way that he does it in a concise way is really impressive. I would say the first and most obvious point that he makes is that your online presence is just that. It's just an online digital presence. It's not really you. This is a realization that I've come to myself in the past 3 years or so. So it's the idea that who you are online is not really who you are is starting to pick up traction, and I'm really thankful for that. But when I was in high school, there really wasn't that kind of mentality. I think that everyone thought that, online is who you are, and, well, actually, we might not have even really been thinking about it, to be honest. But I think one of Bo Burnham's main points in this film, the most obvious one, is that your online presence is a manifestation of just the amplification of all the good parts in your life. You spend years taking the best parts of your life and displaying them in the most perfect way online, where people can interpret it however they want. You create this avatar, and sometimes your digital life can sort of bleed into your real life, and vice versa. So I think one of the main points of the movie is, do not buy into whatever fake reality or whatever avatar people display online, because it's just not the whole story. It's not even close to the whole story. And I think the second one being that since we do have so much power to be different people online, sometimes the advice that we give can come across as very genuine, but we might not actually live it out in our own life, so we can be hypocrites. I know I just said that Bo Burnham does a great job of concisely presenting it that way, but that actually might be where the film starts to suffer. It can be a little too concise. At the very end of the movie, like when the credits started to roll, I was very satisfied. I thought it was a great wrap-up to everything, but it ultimately felt like it could have been fleshed out a little bit more. It felt a little bit incomplete. I think that Bo Burnham showed a very broad reality of what it's like to be in that awkward adolescent stage, but I think he could have zeroed in a little bit on maybe one or two aspects of his screenplay and really dug into that, really fleshed it out, because then it would have been even better than it already is. You will cry in this movie. There's one line in particular that is spoken around a fireplace, and it is soul-crushingly sad. So just brace yourself, okay? I've given you several warnings, and depending on who you are, they might be good, they might be bad, but just brace yourself for this film. 8th Grade is a wonderful directorial debut by Bo Burnham. It's a wonderful performance by Elsie Fisher, and I would highly recommend it to anybody. And I'm going to give this one an 8.8 out of 10. So what's the best coming-of-age movie that you've ever seen? I'm sure there are plenty of John Hughes fans out there, right? Whatever it is, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget, everybody, to follow along with me as I go through my entire IMDb watch list. The link for my watch list is right down there in the description below. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next cinematic adventure.